On Indonesia's eastern frontier lies an ancient world. Forged by fire, it is a land of extremes. Isolated for thousands of years, creatures have evolved beyond recognition. Each habitat harbors a unique mix of the bold and the bizarre. Papua's lost worlds support one of the richest and strangest concentrations of life on our planet. The forests of Papua are home to many strange creatures. Isolated for thousands of years, many have evolved unique adaptations. Sugar gliders are small enough to fit into a human hand. These miniature marsupials are nocturnal hunters, surviving by scavenging the treetops for a meal. Able to survive on leaves alone, they prefer something with a bit more crunch. Insects are a protein-packed delicacy. Living in large families, sugar gliders often have to share their meal. But in these wild forests, there is not always safety in numbers. Predators can quickly turn into prey. Stealth is the snake's secret weapon. Ambush assassins, they strike suddenly and swiftly. Luckily, the sugar glider has a trick of its own, and the snake is left to search elsewhere for its evening meal. New Guinea lies in the Pacific Ocean's Ring of Fire, marking the eastern boundary of Indonesia's island chain. A melting pot of tectonic activity, volcanic eruptions and earthquakes are a daily occurrence. Much of what we see today was forged deep below the ground. For almost 300 million years, New Guinea was attached to what is now known as Australia, as the ebb and flow of the Earth's crust decided its fate. Eventually, the crust settled, but it was not until the end of the last glacial period, 7,000 years ago, that the island claimed its freedom. Rising sea levels flooded the Australian lowlands, cutting New Guinea off and creating a new island state. Between two plates, New Guinea buckled under the pressure of successive collisions, forming a mountainous ridge running down its spine. Today, it remains the largest and highest tropical island in the world, and one of the last wildernesses left on Earth. The Indonesian region of Papua encompasses the western half of New Guinea. Shrouded in mystery, it has remained inaccessible to all but a few. Papua has an unbelievable variety of landscapes. Equatorial glaciers cap mountains covered by impenetrable forest. Thick mangroves create an oasis for life, while remote beaches stretch for thousands of kilometers. And all are surrounded by pristine coral reefs. Each ecosystem is unique, and each is full of life. The abundance of water and constant warmth has allowed wildlife to flourish. While some animals offer clues to the island's past, Papua's isolation has also resulted in the evolution of unique forms of life. Pigeons the size of turkeys display impressive crowns. Strange bear-like creatures patrol the treetops. And bizarre prehistoric birds stand as tall as a man. Papua is a land of lost worlds and a stronghold for the strange. One of the remotest corners of the island lies high up in the mountains. Steep valleys are cloaked in thick forest. Undisturbed for thousands of years, these are some of the least explored rainforests in the world. birds were one of the earliest creatures to colonize the island. Isolated in this lost world with an abundance of food and a lack of predators, they were left to evolve beyond imagination. These are the birds of paradise. 39 species are known to exist. Separated by steep valleys, each has evolved a unique and dazzling display. Some more impressive than others. Thousands of years of evolution have been driven by a single factor: attracting a mate. Like her ancestors, she won't settle for anything but the best, creating one of nature's greatest spectacles. Papua's hidden valleys are one of the very few places on Earth where such stunning displays have been able to evolve. Whilst the birds of paradise are confined to their isolated pockets of forest, there are those who have mastered all but a few of the island's habitats. Some of the most successful prowl the forest floor. Monitor lizards are scavengers. They eat almost anything. With so much food on offer and a variety of environments to conquer, the lizards are thriving. A total of 11 species can be found in Papua alone. But with success comes pressure. The aggressive reptiles often come into contact with one another. When they do, a simple show of dominance quickly restores the pecking order. The reptilians' hierarchy allows them to make the most of the forest pickings without the need for bloodshed. For many, conflict is a part of daily life. A rhinoceros beetle patrols his territory. Growing over 10 centimeters long, males display impressive horns. And when they clash, battles can be fierce. Rhinoceros beetles are one of the strongest animals in the natural world, capable of lifting 100 times their own body weight. The giants hold their ground, clinging to the tree bark with hooks at the end of each foot. Eventually, the challenger is put in his place. And it becomes clear what all the fuss was about. A female has wandered into the territory. The victor caresses her. It seems he's deciding if she would make a suitable mate. But his efforts on the battlefield were in vain. She doesn't meet his standards. He can afford to be picky. Papua's forests support a wealth of life and opportunities. But the secret to the forest's success lies in the most surprising of locations. Hanging in caves and roosts across the island is one of the world's largest populations of fruit bats. Over 30 species are known to scientists, with many more yet to be discovered. Most are found nowhere else on Earth. The island would be a very different place without them. Fruit-loving mammals play a vital role in its upkeep. "65% of New Guinea is covered in thick, pristine forest. Swathes cloak mountains and valleys. And at its heart are huge colonies of fruit bats. Feeding from large areas of the canopy, the bats act as the forest's major seed dispersers, allowing trees and plants to spread. Many plants have evolved to make it easier for the bats to feed from their branches. and encouraging the spread of their seeds. Papua's fruit bats maintain the forest and ensure its growth and regeneration. Once demonized in ghost stories, the misunderstood bat is proving to be a key part of one of the richest rainforests on the planet. Although rainforest covers much of the island, life also thrives along its coastline. Papua's western edge is known as the Bird's Head Peninsula. Thousands of kilometers of remote beaches draw wanderers from the deep. As night falls, the visitors arrive. Leatherbacks are the largest sea turtles on Earth, growing up to 2 meters long and weighing up to 1,000 kilos. Critically endangered, the Bird's Head Peninsula is the giant's last stronghold in the Pacific Ocean. Females return to lay their eggs on the very same beaches where their own lives began. She uses her massive flippers to excavate a deep nest in the sand. Into which she lays up to 100 eggs. The sex of the hatchlings will be determined by the temperature of the nest. Higher than around 30 degrees Celsius, the hatchlings will be females. Anything cooler, and the nests produce males. Smaller eggs are also laid. Yolkless and sterile, they're designed to collapse over time, making extra room for the youngsters when they hatch. Finally, the nest is filled with sand. Nesting can take up to 3 hours, taking its toll on the mother. Papua's beaches are in high demand. Their isolation means the chance of survival is much higher than anywhere else in the Pacific. By sunrise, any mothers left on the beach head for the sanctuary of the water. Their part is now over. They won't return until they're ready to nest again. If the leatherback turtle is to have a future in our world's oceans, the beaches of the Bird's Head Peninsula have a vital role to play. Papua's northwest coastline lies in a critical position for marine life. It is located directly in the path of the Indonesian through flow. Higher sea levels in the Pacific and strong currents force rich, warm water south through the islands to the Indian Ocean beyond. providing them with life. None are more impressive than Raja Ampat. Over 1,500 islands make up the richest marine area in the world. From deserted pockets of sand to mountainous peaks, Raja Ampat is the jewel in Papua's crown. On land, life battles for dominance, whilst beneath the waves, an unimaginable world exists. Raja Ampat's true treasures lie beneath the surface. These are the richest coral reefs in the world. Powerful deep-sea currents funnel nutrients into Raja Ampat, forming the foundation of the food chain, which feeds a spectacular diversity of marine life. The islands are home to more than 10 times the number of hard coral species found in the Caribbean, and over 1,000 species of tropical fish. Isolation has been their greatest defense. Only now are we learning how special these reefs truly are. A sea fan hides one of Raja Ampat's most elusive residents. A pygmy seahorse. Less than 2 centimeters tall, it is the world's smallest seahorse. An easy meal to most passers-by, they survive by blending in. 2 males are settling a territorial dispute the old-fashioned way, by headbutting. The coral reef is one of the best examples in the natural world of how animals have adapted to their environment. None better than the clownfish. They live among the poisonous tentacles of sea anemones. Immune to their stings, clownfish have found the coral reef's perfect refuge. And it's not a one-way relationship. The fish pay their way by keeping the anemone clean and scaring off predators. In return, they're provided with a safe environment to raise their young. A pair clean a sheltered rock face within the safety of their fortress. Once ready, the female lays lines of tiny eggs for the male to fertilize. Lying so deep within the anemone, they are safe from passing predators. For the next 7 days, the male provides constant care to the growing eggs. He is under pressure. Immature clownfish gather, waiting for their chance to take over. The slightest mistake, and the female will kick him out. So he does all he can to keep the eggs clean and healthy. As the next generations start to take shape, their tiny beating hearts become visible. His efforts are paying off. Not all fish have the luxury of living their lives in safety. Most have to brave the reef's predators. Black-tipped reef sharks. They are notorious hunters. But these individuals don't pose a threat just yet. They are juveniles, using Raja Ampat's secluded coastlines to develop before heading out to deeper waters. With such a rich source of food, the sharks are found in great numbers. A sign of a healthy reef. Raja Ampat has a much farther-reaching influence than the waters of Papua. The island's strong currents sweep coral and fish larvae across the Indian and Pacific Oceans, replenishing ecosystems and spreading life. The hundreds of islands that make up the Raja Ampat archipelago don't only provide an oasis under the water. On land, there are endless opportunities. Stunning orchids flourish, and vibrant birds prosper. But the water is never far away. And there is a world that has evolved to bridge the gap between land and sea. Mangroves sprawl along the coastline. Thick forests of roots have conquered the tidal zone, supporting a community of colorful creatures. Papua's mangroves are home to over 30 species of fiddler crab. There is nowhere else in the world where they live in such great numbers. Emerging at low tide, an array of species live side by side. But time is not on the crab's side. They only have a few hours to go about their business before the tide rises, and they are forced to retreat to the safety of their burrows. It is a mad rush to get everything done. Food must be eaten. Burrows must be cleaned. And neighborly feuds settled. In just a few hours, the tide turns, and the crabs are forced to retreat. The high tide reveals another world, and a new cast of creatures. Not all of Raja Ampat's mangroves grow in sediment. Many thrive in the archipelago's clear waters. These sanctuaries provide fish with the perfect spot to spawn. Hidden amongst the roots, they are sheltered from predators as they grow and develop. But some have learnt to make the most of what the high tide draws in. Brahmani kites wait patiently for the waters to rise. From their perch, acute vision locates their prey. The graceful hunters pick helpless fish off with ease. Raja Ampat is yet another example of one of Papua's lost worlds, where isolation has resulted in the evolution of the extraordinary. Each morning, one of the island's rarest and most endangered inhabitants goes on display. The red bird of paradise is only found on 4 tiny islands in the archipelago, getting its name from its glossy red tail, out of which its central feathers have evolved into a striking pair of twisted, shiny black tapes. Like all of Papua's birds, it loves to be seen. Males gather in display trees during the breeding season to perform an elaborate courtship ritual. The dance is aimed at attracting a mate. But despite his best efforts, the morning show goes unnoticed. He'll have to try his luck again tomorrow. Papua provides opportunities for both the bold and the bizarre. While some show off in plain sight, others go about their business under the cover of darkness. Nocturnal hunters head out to feed. Their victims' remains surround their underground homes. The robber crab, the largest land-dwelling arthropod in the world. Capable of reaching almost a meter across and weighing a staggering 4 kilos. They have a voracious appetite. They scour beaches for their quarry. If all else fails, they head to the source. The crabs are after coconuts. The fleshy center is packed with protein. Once it finds what it's looking for, the crab drags the coconut back to its lair. Where it uses its nutcracker-like claws to tear off the husk. The appetite of this nocturnal forager has given it another name: the coconut crab. But there has been a price to pay for feeding from the island's bounties. Spending their life on land, the crabs have had to sacrifice their gills for lungs, marooning them. The sea now presents a deadly barrier, preventing them from returning to the world they once knew. For the coconut crab, entering the water would mean certain death. For most, the waters of Papua provide riches. Sendawashi Bay lies on the northern coast. It's a remote natural wonder. For millions of years, the bay was isolated from the flow of Pacific tides. This separation led to the evolution of rich stocks of fish and coral, and gave rise to it being called the Galapagos of the East. Today, Sendawashi still harbors pristine coral reefs and vast quantities of fish, attracting fishermen from far and wide. Living on a boat, known locally as a bagan, they spend months at a time at sea. With stocks so rich, they are spoilt for choice. But the crew have a special relationship with one fish in particular. In order to have a successful catch, they must make an offering to a creature of the deep. Andreas throws bait fish back into the water. He then waits to see if they've done the trick. Whale sharks. The world's largest fish is not on the fisherman's menu. But they believe fishing is more plentiful when the sharks are around. Drawn in by the offerings on the surface and by the vast quantities of fish hanging in the nets below, it doesn't take long for the giants to arrive. Whale sharks suck in huge amounts whilst feeding. Food gathers in a ball at the back of their throat as water is filtered out through their gills. Fishermen have reported up to 20 sharks around their boat, with each able to consume more than 2.5 kilos of fish a day. It's impossible to satisfy them all. Some of the bay's other residents arrive to make the most of the handouts. This unique relationship between man and beast highlights how the natural world is revered by those who live within Papua's lost worlds. The waters of Sendawashi Bay support an incredibly healthy population of whale sharks. And it has recently been discovered that they are the only whale sharks in the world that don't migrate. Usually ocean wanderers, these sharks have taken up permanent residence in the bay. The reason for this remains unclear. Even stranger is that they are nearly all young males. Maybe it's the fisherman's handouts. Or maybe it is the abundance of food in Papua's waters. The mystery of Cendawashi's whale sharks remains unsolved. Papua's lost worlds and the creatures they contain have thrived thanks to their isolation. Cut off from the modern world, they are a throwback to how the Earth once was. Proof that evolution can be driven by separation. And when it's left to its own devices, its results can be magical.